Welcome to the Loopy Classic Climb video demo for Col Détente. This is quite a steep ride, 2,208 meters, so it's a large climb, certainly comparable with Tourmalet. So what I like to do when I first load up a ride is spin it 360 degrees to try and find the best angle to show it off. The best way to do this, I find, is just to click directly onto the Loopy, and using the left mouse button, just press and click, and you can rotate it all the way around. So you can see the bottom of the climb here, and then as it climbs up, you've got the top of the col there. The right mouse button, if you click and press that, moves the image left and right, up and down. It's looking a bit small at the moment, so what you can do, you can also use the sliders on the left hand side, so you can just zoom in a bit, and there we go. You can start to see a lot more detail in the terrain and the line. Here we go. So you can see there's a load of zigzaggy road turns near the top of the climb. So it'd be interesting to get that in the foreground. You'll also notice the info box is getting in the way a bit. So to move that, click on the data tab. A little move icon appears. Click that. Let's move it over to the left hand side. This looks like a natural place to put it for this particular composition. Go back to the move tab again, and then we can start fine-tuning how the Loopy looks. So that looks starting to look quite interesting now. There's a really strong sense of foreground and background, and your eyes kind of drawn into the picture by this kind of very close-up detail at the top of the climb. So this is looking quite interesting now. So I'll move on to the Advanced tab. Here we can increase the size of the mountains, so you can see exactly how that affects the image that we're looking at. Sliding all the way to the left flattens absolutely everything. All the way to the top makes it look far too big in this case. Sometimes that works, but in this case it looks far too big. So probably somewhere around about there. The second slider is for the dots that make up the terrain texture. Now at the moment they're very small, and you can slide this all the way up, and you can see the dots getting larger. These look a bit too big and a bit too cartoon-like, so it's probably somewhere in the middle. You've got some nice definition, so the smaller they are, the more definition you see in the terrain. But at this size, you can still make out that they're circles, and I think that's looking quite interesting now. The next, or the last slider in the Advanced tab, is to adjust the thickness of the Loopy line. So again, all the way to the left makes it very, very thin. But you do see a lot more of the terrain and the road that you've cycled. But I think I'll make it slightly bigger. And there we go. I think that's looking quite nice now. The next tab, the Colour tab, you can change the background. It defaults to the light colour, but I think in this case the dark colour will really make the mountains stand out. So this is looking quite dramatic now. So again, even in the Colour tab, you can still move and edit the shape of the Loopy. And again, sliding it around, you can see a bit more of the climbs that you did. I still think something like this is probably the most interesting shape, because you do get a nice sense of the climb up to the top. I might just go back to the Advanced tab and make the mountain slightly smaller. There we go. So let's stick with that for now. The next thing I want to do is to edit the text. So to do that, we need to go into the Data tab. I still think this bottom left hand side is the correct place for the info box. So let's name the ride. There we go. And this gives you all the information pulled directly in from Strava. You can also toggle between, it defaults to kilometers, but you can toggle miles if you want to see it. Click back to kilometer. Now, every Loopy defaults to show you the start and end position, but I want to actually name this. So if you roll over the label, you'll see two icons pop up. There's a cross for delete and a pencil icon to edit. So let's click the edit button, and as soon as you click that, a pop-up appears, and with three tabs along the top. You've got the name of the label, the stats that you want to show with that label, and then you can tell the Loopy where to position the label. In this case, it's hanging to the right of the loopy line. So let's go back to the name. And when we look at the stats and the position, I want to position it to the right hand side of the line. So let's confirm that. And there we have it. There's the label pointing to the start and finish with the town name. In fact, I think I've just... There we go. The next point I want to add is a place called the Cirque de Gavarine. This is it's a really spectacular naturally forming amphitheatre of the mountains that are surrounding the road as it climbs up. If I just move back to the Move tab and just spin the loopy round, you can see it sort of happening here. As I get to this point in the ride, you've got these kind of really high rock formations. At even the highest point, these mountains are hitting 3,000 meters. So we want to kind of mark that on the map. So I'll spin it round to our angle again and move back to the data tab. So at this point in that kink in the corner, I'm going to mark the Cirque de Gavarine. I want to keep all the stats and position it to the right. There we go. The last label I want to add is the top of the climb. So I'll bring the cursor right to the top, and at the 30k mark, which is the first half, I can click that and then add Col de Tente. Again, I want to keep all the stats there. You can hide these if you want to. So if I wanted to not show a particular stat, I can just click the arrow and it turns it off. So if I just want to show the elevation, I'll leave that one ticked. And again, because the line is coming in from the left, I want the label to appear to the right. So I click the right hand position and confirm that. And there we have, it's added the label and it's only showing me the elevation to that point. If I want to go back in and add the other stats, if you roll over the label again and click the edit button, I can go back to the stats tab and then reselect the time and the distance. So here is the finished loopy really. I've got all the bits, I've angled it, I found the best position for the loopy. You can go in here and you can edit all of the data in this. You can change the rider name, you can add, you can edit the title of the ride, but I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go back to the Move tab now and just make some final adjustments to the loopy. That's it. So I'm going to bring it slightly further, the end of the ride slightly further into the foreground. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. You can always go back and change this, but just to see what this looks like, if I get a slightly more acute angle on the climb. And again, this is sort of, it makes the whole thing look more dramatic. I can go back to the Advanced tab and just adjust the height of the line a bit, maybe bring it down a little bit so you can see a bit more definition in the in the switchback roads as you climb up from Cirque de Gavarine up to the top of the Col. And I think that's looking really good now. One final, sorry, clicking the wrong tab there. One final move of the info box, and there we have it. Order this. The next button you need to click is the preview and order. What this does, when the image loads in the frame, this saves all the data that you've edited. So at this point you can jump back and edit it further, or you can go ahead and order a printed size and a frame if you like. Also at this point you can toggle different background textures. So I hope you enjoyed the video demo, and that will inspire you to get out on your bike and try the Col de Tente.